It's showdown time with the crucial time trial set to decide the Tour de Romandie champion of 2012. It's very close at the top, and the Cran Montana Mountain will decide which rider will win. Decision time next. It's final day of the Tour de Romandie, and the mountain time trials of Cran Montana will reveal the 2012 champion. Luis Leon Sanchez has claimed the right to start last after getting his second win in a row yesterday. Bradley Wiggins, the leader for 4 days, is now 9 seconds behind overall. There's room for surprise too, as Tour de France winner Cadel Evans and young American Andrew Talansky aim also to podium. It's the individual race of truth next on the NBC Sports Network. Hello everybody, welcome to the Epic Cycle Series presented by Michelob Ultra. It's showdown time today here at the Tour de Romandie with the time trial. We go up to Cran Montana, where Robert Miller was the last winner here, the road race in 1984. This, though, is a 10 miles individual time trial. I'm Phil Liggett. Alongside me is Bob Roll. Bob, this week we've raced 415 miles. We're down to the last 10, and there are still an awful lot of riders can win.
No less than 23 riders within 30 seconds of the lead. For cycling fans, it gets no better than this for a race to be so close between so many top riders, all hungry to win. We're going right down to the wire, 10 miles to glory.
And there's the man. He's won the last 2 days of racing, and finally yesterday he got his hands on the leader's yellow jersey. Luis Leon Sanchez now leads Bradley Wiggins, the 4-day leader of this race, by 9 seconds. World time trial champion 3 occasions, Michael Rogers sits third. And further down, Andrew Talansky in a battle here with Wilco Kelderman to see if he can win the best rookie jersey for a second year. And can he do a good ride and maybe even climb on the podium as well? There's the route, Bob.
Falls flat to start, then a little bit of a descent, then there's a 5-kilometer climb to the top of the King of the Mountain. That's the halfway point, and we'll get the all-important time checks there. Then it continues to roll up and down, slightly up most of the time, but a little bit down also. The finishing town is Cran Montana, 10 miles from the start village. This is going to be a great stage.
This indeed will be, I think, a historic stage today. There's so much to gain, and so many riders could make the gains today. It is a lovely day just beneath the snow line. This is the current standings. The racing started earlier, 138 survivors. Thibaut Pinot has the best time so far. But take a look at this before we go to the action, because Richie Porte, at the time check, Thibaut Pinot was the quickest here in 18.5 minutes. And look at this now. Richie Porte has gone through 15 seconds quicker.
Smoking the course so far. Richie Porte, 15 seconds faster than the fastest man. He is on a good ride so far after doing a lot of work for his leader, Bradley Wiggins.
Well, let's go to the action now, because these are the live pictures, and Richie Porte has maintained that rhythm. Pinot's time has gone by quite a margin. 35 seconds. Richie Porte of Team Sky, who's worked all week to try and keep Bradley Wiggins in yellow, has now delivered a fantastic ride here.
Brilliant ride by Richie Porte, the former triathlete and great time trialist, 4th in last year's final Tour de France time trial. That is a solid ride. Also will give an indication to Bradley Wiggins of how to pace himself once he gets to his time trial.
Now, we call this the race of truth, and it hasn't been a great race all week for Cadel Evans. Remember, out at the start in Lausanne a week ago, Cadel Evans complained of the wet and slippery roads for his poor time. How is he going to go today? As the slopes go up, we quickly go back down to the finish. This is Peter Weening coming in here from the Green Edge cycling team. Porte is still on top, and Weening is going to do nothing about that. As he comes in, it's not a bad ride from Peter Weening, though. 30 minutes, 7 seconds. He's in 5th place there. So let's have a look back out on course now. This is Simon Schmidt, who is out. Is Sylvester Schmidt, and he's pushing Porte here, 8 seconds only slower. That's a good ride.
Solid ride by Sylvester Schmidt, the Slovenian on the Italian team, on good form, halfway through the time trial now, trying to move up in the overall standings.
Well, looking at Cadel Evans here now, a lot of choice of different equipment here today, and no aero helmet on the head of Cadel Evans. In time trial, and the streamlining required not always necessary. He's looking like he's struggling at the moment. I honestly feel that Cadel Evans isn't riding that well. He's still battling this bike and the terrain. The defending champion, don't forget. Now, Ivan Basso announced yesterday he will go to the Giro d'Italia. That means he's feeling good. Here he comes. He's gone through the time of Richie Porte. He might make the top 20. He's not going to stay there. As Durbridge's time goes through, he's outside the top 20 now. Former winner of the Giro d'Italia. He'll go now next week to the Giro d'Italia. But for today, he slots in 25th place, losing a minute and 51 seconds to Porte.
Wow, Basso, long ways from ever being considered a time trialing specialist, but this is a poor performance for any rider who is considered a Grand Tour contender. Basso might have to rethink the Giro.
Now, at start of the day, Cadel Evans was 23rd, the defending champion, and half a minute behind the new leader, Luis Leon Sanchez. Sanchez will be the last to start. Cadel Evans here, had he been on the form that won in the Tour de France last July, I feel he would be racing for the yellow jersey today. But something tells me this man is battling the elements. Richie Porte is the surprise leader in 29:13, but some big names still to come. We'll see. Back in the Swiss mountains here, the time trial goes on, and the world abuzz with that stunning time by the Australian Richie Porte. This is the defending Australian champion, Cadel Evans, coming up towards the check here. You see Richie Porte went through here in 18 minutes and 14. Cadel Evans already, Bob, has lost more than a minute.
You would have gotten pretty long odds to say that Cadel Evans, the defending Tour de France champion, would already have lost a minute in only 5 miles of racing to his countryman, Richie Porte. Cadel Evans clearly struggling so far in today's time trial.
Well, the clock doesn't lie, Bob, and that does prove that Cadel Evans is still searching for his good form, and he was on top form here a year ago. Jerome Coppel now in the start house here. Serge Sajon has had a great week of racing. They've had a stage win with Jonathan Yvert, who, by the way, abandoned yesterday. He didn't fancy the time trial today. Now, still Richie Porte has set that stunning time, the 27-year-old rider from Tasmania, and also on Sky with his senior Sky riders still to come out of this very start house.
Big hope for the French right here, and Jerome Coppel 14th in overall in last year's Tour.
Well, this is the arrival of Gorka Verdugo here. He's only ever ridden for Euskadel Euskadi since he turned professional back in 2004. He's never won a professional race, and it's not going to change today. As he slips down there, he's heading towards the 11th best time. It'll drop away here. Porte's time is well comfortable at 29 minutes 13. Verdugo comes up to the line. He loses a minute 24, but I have to say, not as much as Ivan Basso lost.
A little bit faster than Basso, but quite a bit slower than Richie Porte. Gorka Verdugo, not a time trialing specialist. He did crash Cadel Evans in the 2008 Tour de France. Not a very good bike handler back in those days either, but he's gotten to the finish line, and he's finished this race, the Tour of Romandie.
Now, on screen there, you can see his position overall of Jerome Coppel is 13th, just a few seconds off the leader. Good ride by him, can move him right up into the top 5 or 6 riders, and that's the way it is today, especially as we now always start reverse order of the overall classification of the race. So the fastest rider, which currently is Luis Leon Sanchez, overall, he will go last.
He will be the last starter. He will be chasing Bradley Wiggins. 2 minutes is the gap for the last 30 riders. And before then, though, it's only 1 minute between the riders if you go at a good tempo. And you saw Gorka Verdugo lose 1 minute 24 seconds. Well, Richie Porte would have caught him if he had started before him.
Well, he's gritting his teeth there. We're now looking here at Mederel here from France, also coming up towards the line as he races in. He's a teammate of Jerome Coppel as he comes up, and again, just on the half hour for him. Dario Cataldo in 6th place. This is not a bad ride by Mederel of France. He comes up, loses almost exactly a minute, average speed at 20 miles an hour. That gives you some indication what a long slug it is on this mountain today.
Mederel on the attacks throughout the week of racing here, the Tour of Romandie. Perhaps will be invited to the Dauphiné and the Tour de France later on this summer. Sauer will be in that, and we'll see if Mederel makes that roster.
Now, Yanni Brakovic here. He crashed out of the Tour de France last year. New team for him this time around with Astana. Looks as though he's got a nice little rhythm going for himself here. And he can ride a pretty good time trial. Moving up the mountain, Roman Kreuziger here. Former winner, and in fact the only rider ever to win this race from the Czech Republic. And he won back in 2009. He looks to be moving pretty well as well, Bob.
He's on the climb. We'll get his time check here in just a little bit. He was the white jersey winner of the Giro d'Italia last year. He announced his greatness as a bike racer and a Grand Tour stage race contender by winning the Tour of Switzerland back in 2008. So he is a young man on the rise and doing well so far this week in the Tour of Romandie.
Absolutely. He's coming up towards the time check there. He was also the best young rider in the Giro d'Italia last year when he finished also 6th overall. So he's a very, very good stage race rider. The secret of riding a good stage race is the power of recovery and the ability to ride a good time trial. Now there's Port's time. He went through 18:14. It survives this time, but this has been a good ride. Only 8 seconds off by Kreuziger. So although we do continue to climb a little bit more, we eventually slip away to the finishing line. He could improve on that.
Just using the regular road bike there. We'll see how that affects him the rest of the time trial.
The arrival of Dan Martin now. As Dan Martin looks up, he's been the top man on the Garmin Barracuda team, the rider from Ireland here. Second in last year's one-day classic, the Tour of Lombardia. And this isn't a great ride by Dan. He's outside the half an hour. As Port's time much better. 51 seconds, though. He hasn't lost a minute. And Dan Martin really has given that his best shot, I think. So Dan Martin still looking for his first win of the year. That's the situation overall with the big leaders still to ride. We'll see you again in a moment. Sunday, May 13th, the Epic Cycle Series continues with the Amgen Tour of California, where last year's winner Chris Horner defends his title in America's premier cycling event. The Amgen Tour of California begins Sunday, May 13th on the NBC Sports Network. Now we're catching up again with the defending champion of the Tour Romandie, Cadel Evans, and he seems to have at last got his rhythm here.
Regular road bike with the clip-on aero bars and the regular road helmet as well, and the long-sleeve skin suit. Interesting choice of equipment throughout today's
Now this will
stage.
be interesting, Bob. We've gone back to the finish here to see the arrival of Sylvester Schmidt. And now he was close to Port up the mountain, but he's already outside the time. 29:13 is the time in the house by Richie Port of Sky. And Sylvester Schmidt, it's a good time, but he hasn't really gained anything more since he came over the top of the mountain. As he comes up towards the line now, he will get inside with the second best time so far, 29:38, conceding 25 seconds. So he continued to lose time to Port.
Solid ride by Sylvester Schmidt, but you can see how strong that time of Richie Port was. Richie Port starting the day a fair ways down in the overall standings. He started the day in 32nd position, but he has a big chance to move way up in the overall standings. That was a great ride by Richie Port.
Is Rui Costa making his move now, the Movistar rider. He's had a very, very good, aggressive week here, and he's only seconds off that final yellow jersey if he can turn on the style. He's not a noted time trialist, but having said that, he was the time trial champion of his native Portugal 2 years ago. As we move out to Roman Kreuziger. Kreuziger is taking risks here, Bob. He's clipping off the corners, and he's looking as though he's doing a useful performance.
Roman Kreuziger, just a regular road bike without the clip-on aero bars. Cadel Evans, regular road bike, clip-on bars. And as the course flattens out at the top and rolls to the finish line, that might be a little bit of an advantage.
Looking there at the face of the man from Barwon Heads in the state of Victoria in Australia. It is hurting him today, this time trial, absolutely. Moving out now to Yanni Brakovic here. 21st overall at the start today, looking for 28 seconds to win this race. It is desperately close, and it's all come down to this last time trial. Now, Cadel is approaching the finishing line here, and, you know, looking at the style of this boy, he's fighting it all the way. I don't think we're going to see a great time, and there's confirmation, Bob. 29:13 for Port. Cadel is already well outside that by over a minute, so there's no new championship of Romandie for this man from last year. Everything went so well in the build-up last year. It culminated in victory in the Tour de France, and this year it hasn't gone that well. A minute and 29 seconds conceded to his countryman Richie Port.
It'll be a long, hard road to hoe for Cadel Evans to repeat as Tour de France champion. This is not a good indication that he's at the same level as last year.
But there's still time on his side before the upcoming Tour de France in July, and he'll be very conscious of that, I'm sure. Now, one young man who's going to go out shortly and hopes to get a top finish is Andrew Talansky. He's in his second year as a pro. He's 23 years of age, and he is an American. He's our Road ID athlete profile.
This, I think, will bring a smile to a lot of the American fans' faces, because Andrew Talansky is walking away for the competition for the best young rider.
And the first year at this level is a huge learning curve. You know, you're going from, they say, you know, minor leagues to major leagues, whatever you want to call it, but going from doing under 23 races to the Pro Tour is a pretty big jump. I did all I could to cope with it pretty well and got some nice results at Tour Med and some time trials in Paris-Nice and Basque. I definitely learned a lot. I mean, that's the biggest thing on this team with guys like Christian and David Miller and Tommy D and Zabriskie and everybody else we have on the team, and take it into this year. And 2011 was kind of a year of surprises in Romandie. I finally put the climbing and time trialing together, but a lot of it was disassociated. When you have a good time trial, something switches. I really don't remember most of it, and before I knew it, I was crossing the finish line and ended up being a top 10 performance. I do think I'm rather good at suffering. I mean, a lot of people say that. Some people say when they have their best time trials, they barely feel it. And for me, I feel every single pedal stroke. There's not 1 second that I'm not in pain, suffering on the bike, but that's why it's so rewarding. I know that when I do things right, I can be there climbing, and that's what it takes. I don't have to be the best climber, but you have to be consistent. And I think just my first year as a pro, I lacked that a little bit. But this year, going into it, I will get opportunities to see what I can do in stage races, and I just want to maximize all of those. Tour of California in my head is something I'm going to look forward to until May. You know, I love all the racing I get to do, but you know, I live in the winter in California, and there's something special about that race. As an American, that's the one race that I would say is actually, you have a week of fun.
Andrew Talansky, our road ID athlete profile, he'll go 6th in the end, and he's only 23, as I said, and he is a great time trialist. He's trying to defend the white jersey today, and if he can make it yellow, he won't turn it down either. He really is developing into a great professional bike rider and enjoying it as well. He'll relish the Amgen Tour of California. This man doesn't relish the Tour of Romandie. He would like to see the end of it now, as he explains to the press why Cadel Evans has not come up to scratch today in a time trial. And it was in the time trial last year he sealed the Tour de France. There's the standings at the moment. We'll take a break. When we come back, Talansky will be in the start house. Welcome back. Well, we continue with the time trial here. Richie Porte is still the best time at the finish in Crans-Montana. We're looking here now at the champion of Slovenia, Jani Brakovic.
Jani Brakovic, one of 4 leaders last year in the Tour de France for the Radio Shack squad. He crashed out of the Tour last year. He changed teams in the offseason over to Astana. He's had a decent week of racing. No stage wins so far, but he is a solid time trialist and looking to move up in the overall standings.
Well, the last time trial he won was his own national championship last year. Before that, it was the time trial stage of the Dauphiné in June 2010. Now, well, he's not going to win, but it is a very good time from Brakovic. He's already gone outside of Port's time at 29:13. He's now aiming at Pino in 3rd place. He's got to get up this line in about 6 seconds. I'm not sure he's going to do that. He'll slip away from a podium place here as Brakovic comes up towards the line now. He's aiming at the time of the Belgian Thomas again, and onto the silver medal to the Olympics, Gustav Losny. He beats him. He slots in 5th place.
Former Dauphiné champion. The Dauphiné is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Building his form, solid ride here. Started the day in 21st place. Might move up a few places in the overall standings.
Yes, in those days when he got selection from the Dauphiné for the Tour, he was under the management of Johan Bruneel. He left the side of Radio Shack last year, riding for Astana. Now we go to the start house. Andrew Talansky, huge moments for this rider. The rider he is chasing, Wilco Kelderman, is on the same time, and it's a joint battle for who takes home this white jersey of best rookie. But the way we've watched this guy ride all week, Bob, I really think he can deliver.
He's had a tough start of the season. He was good in the Algarve. He struggled a little bit with a big crash in the Tirreno Adriatico, got back up and finished that, and now he's starting to come into good form. He starts the stage 6th in the overall standings, just 18 seconds behind the race leader, Luis Leon Sanchez.
Well, we've gone up the road now. We've picked up here Roman Kreuziger, the only rider from the Czech Republic to have won this race. He did so in 2009. He's heading up towards the finish now. He's not inside the time of Richie Porte at the Czechs, but there was a chance he could improve on the way down, and we won't know if he has until he crosses the finishing line. But he is a noted good time trialist, this rider.
This is a bike that he's using, the standard road machine. It should have benefited him in the first half of the race and maybe hindered him coming up to the finish line where it's flatter, and a time trial machine would be perhaps better for the second half of this stage. We'll have to have a look based on the time of Kreuziger.
Well, a little bit of a sprint required to get into second place, held by Sylvester Smith. 29.38 it is. And he's seen the time on the board, and he's kicked again, and he's just about going to do this. Yes, he just gets inside there for second at the moment. But Richie Port, who was an early starter, is sitting back smiling at everybody who crosses that line.
Presumably that's about as deep as you can go if you're Roman Kreuziger in a time trial. Solid performance, second fastest so far, looking to move up in the overall standings. That's a good ride by Roman Kreuziger, who won this event in 2009 overall, the Tour of Romandie.
Now we're looking at Stef Clement here, the champion of the Netherlands here. That's of the time trial. He's got his national jersey on today, and he could challenge for the overall victory here because he's right up amongst it. So he sets off now as we get down towards the last few riders to start.
Luis Leon Sanchez, his teammate, leading the general classification so far, but 4 Rabobank riders in the top 10. Bauke Mollema is also in there. Wilco Kerman, we just mentioned, the same time as Andrew Talansky. And, of course, Luis Leon Sanchez. He's leading the whole race.
This man has been the time trial champion of Holland for the 4 of the last 5 years, and during the year he wasn't, he actually finished 9th in the Olympic Games time trial in Beijing. He knows how to ride. The big difference about this time trial, Bob, it's not on the flat roads, it is very hilly, and performances are different here.
And interestingly, he's chosen to use 100% time trialing equipment, including the helmet, the time trial bicycle specific to the discipline, the shoe covers, the long sleeve skin suit. He's going for aerodynamics that might hinder his climbing a little bit, and that 5-kilometer or 3-mile stretch of climbing up to the King of the Mountain might slow him down a little bit, but so far he's got a good aerodynamic position going to start his time trial out.
Getting into his rhythm as he makes his way out now. We've got the next to go should be his teammate Bauke Mollema, who has been riding very, very well, as we see here now. Stef Clement making his way up the road. Next after that will be Michael Rogers, Bradley Wiggins, and then the last man to go, Luis Leon Sanchez. Here we are now with Bauke Mollema. He had a terrific season last year, although he's a little bit unlucky at times as well. He led the Vuelta a España for a day. He finally finished in 4th place. He was 5th in the Tour de Suisse. He can deliver a good time trial when it matters. He's a very good stage race rider.
He's a climbing specialist, a great stage racer, like you mentioned, 4th in the Vuelta. That's a solid result. He was also 3rd in the Basque Country so far this year. That was just a couple of weeks ago, and a very, very solid 6th place in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And for a stage race specialist to finish 6th in the big classic like Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Bauke Mollema is on very good fitness so far this year.
He's hovered in the shadow of his teammate, Luis Leon Sanchez, and the 2 Sky Riders, Wiggins and Michael Rogers. He knows now he's free to fly on his own, that he could climb on the podium by the end of this day with an exceptional ride. We're only talking a matter of seconds, 18 of his teammate, but only 9 behind Bradley Wiggins. So he's got to squeeze the seconds out and see what happens. As we're continuing here down the road, good clear highways here. We're racing just below the snow line today, but it's clearing away steadily now as the summer comes to Switzerland. This is one of the most famous ski resorts in Switzerland at Crans-Montana. And by the way, Robert Miller, who is the only British rider to finish 2nd twice in this event, was the last man to win up at the top of Crans-Montana when it was a road race.
You can hear the brakes squealing there. The time trial machine's great at going fast downhill and in a straight line. So much inertia in those disc wheels. Not so great going around hairpin bends like that.
Now we're looking here, Vladimir Karpitz coming home. He also is falling short of the time of Richie Port and had a real chance here at moving up the overall, but it's not to be. John Gadrey's there with the 18th best time. He slips behind Gadrey. That's a little bit of a surprise. 1 minute and 18 seconds off the pace for the former winner of the Tour de Suisse.
Also winner of the white jersey in the Tour de France years ago. Never really confirmed that talent that you would imagine, winning the white jersey as best young rider in the Tour de France of all races. Vladimir Karfitz. He's had an up-and-down career, and now he seems to be down towards the bottom of it.
Michael Rogers, 3 times the world time trial champion, showing us signs of returning to his old form here. His teammate Richie Porte has delivered very, very early on today. I would imagine they've had conversation, and Porte will have told him exactly how the wind is blowing, the tricky sections of the course, and Michael Rogers is now riding for a place on the podium.
Rainbow bands on his sleeves indicating, like you said, Phil, world champion in the time trial, and he's won that 3 different times.
Ronaldo Nocentini of AGR La Mondiale coming up. Again, another man that's gone over half an hour for the course. Richie Porte, 29:13, is beginning to look like a sensational time. Will it go the distance? You've got to start asking yourself. As Nocentini comes up, he's aiming for a place just in the top 20 at the moment. But there's only now 2 more riders still to start, and Richie Porte is still on top at the finish. There's the situation. We'll take a break. See you in a moment. Saturday, May 19th, the IZOD IndyCar Series continues on the NBC Sports Network. It's one of the most nerve-wracking weekends in open-wheel racing, the Indianapolis 500 time trials. Coverage begins with pole day, Saturday, May 19th, here on the NBC Sports Network. Now back into the start house, and for the first time for almost a week, we're seeing this man in his racing strip, because Bradley Wiggins lost the lead in this race yesterday. Now, he rode an okay time trial at the start, Bob, but it's a very important one today. Now, he starts 9 seconds behind overall Luis Leon Sanchez, who starts behind him.
Well, Luis Leon Sanchez stealing Sky's thunder with a tactical coup, winning 2 stages in a row and getting 20 seconds of time bonus to get the race leader's jersey. Bradley Wiggins led Paris-Nice a little bit earlier in the springtime, all the way to the end, but he did have the leader's yellow jersey to start the final time trial. This is going to be a very different situation for Bradley Wiggins. Discipline is going to rule the day for Wiggins to see if he wins or loses the Tour of Romandie.
He's won the Dauphiné, he's won Paris-Nice, and he won Paris-Nice this year. First British rider since the halcyon days of Tommy Simpson almost 50 years ago. Now, what can he do here? He's told us after he won the sprint on stage 2 of this race, or stage 1 the second day, he said, I want to win this race. He knows now he's got to come from behind.
Interestingly, not using the time trial machine specifically. He does have the aero bars from the time trial machine on his regular road bike. He does have the aero helmet. Perhaps he'll put a little bit more effort into the climbing phase of this bike race. We'll see how that compares against the time of his teammate, Richie Porte. Great to have Richie Porte in your team to go out and set such a fast time. He can report back to Bradley Wiggins and tell him exactly how to dose out his effort in the stage.
Now, here's Bratislav Samolov coming up here. It's not a bad time, actually, if the clock stops pretty soon. Oh, it is. 51 seconds outside at the 5-mile point on the course. And this is only just over 10 miles. Only 1 man is left to start now in that start house. Already underway is Bradley Wiggins, and he knows that he will have the race leader chasing him. And there he is, Luis Leon Sanchez, the national time trial champion of Spain. But that, as I said earlier, was not up a mountain, it was on the flat. Huge moments for this man. He's worked really hard to get into this. Just look how nervous he is here as he licks his lips. He's had 4 wins this year, but this is the one he knows will be the most important.
Luis Leon Sanchez, a rendezvous with destiny out on course now. He swooped in on Bradley Wiggins and the efforts of Team Sky to take the race leader's jersey. Let's see if that yellow jersey does not give him wings on today's stage.
So all 138 riders have had their chance now. Danny Pape, by the way, was the first man to start earlier today. The American rider, as now Sanchez knows, he's riding probably the most important time trial of his career here, and he's up against one of the best time trialists in the world in Bradley Wiggins. But as Sean Kelly once said to me, the great Italian cyclist, a great Irish cyclist rather, if you pull on a yellow jersey, Bob, you ride like 2 men.
Well, Sean Kelly, not one to tell lies, except when you're racing against him. He always tells you he feels crummy and then tears your legs off at the opportune moment.
Yes, Sean Kelly was the world #1 for 5 years, and he's quite right when he says they changed the rules to get rid of him of being the world #1. And it's absolutely true. We're looking at Michael Rogers now, who's having a very good season. He finished 4th in his native Tour Down Under in Australia, January. He was 3rd in the Criterium International. You may recall seeing that with us here. That was back in March, and I think he's finding very, very good form, and he's riding ahead of his teammate Bradley Wiggins.
Similar machine to Wiggins and Luis Leon Sanchez. Interestingly, choosing for the regular road machine with those clip-on aerodynamic bars. That's to benefit the climbing part of the course, where, let's face it, you can lose a lot more time than on the flats, generally speaking.
Now, this is Bradley Wiggins here. For the moment, it's downhill. Got to clip these corners, get the shortest way down as possible. He's quickly into that streamlined position here, pumps those legs. Bradley Wiggins has shown us in the past he's one of the most souplesse when it comes to riding time trials. He's an Olympic champion on the track in the speed events. He really has it in his legs, but like in every time trial, you've got to get it all out on the day.
Beautiful position here, beautiful pedal motion. He learned the trade on the track, and track riders, by and large, have some of the silkiest and smoothest pedaling in the whole peloton. Bradley Wiggins, absolutely fantastic in the race against the clock. Earlier in the season, we saw him in Paris in a heated battle with Louis Wester from the Vacances Soleil team. They had a similar situation, a hill climb time trial to finish off the proceedings in Paris, and Bradley Wiggins was the overall winner.
Now look at this, because this is Rui Costa here. Port's time of 18:14 has gone through, but this is a very good ride by Rui Costa. Just on 14 seconds. They would round it up to the next whole second if it was stopped there. So it's 14 seconds is lost there at the moment to Richie Porte. We're waiting for the final big riders to reach that point. One of them is Stef Clement, the time trial champion of the Netherlands, who started the day in 5th place overall, only 18 seconds off the overall win.
Stef Clement there, the rider from the Rabobank team. He starts 5th overall in the stage. Rui Costa, who we just saw from the Movistar squad, only 22 seconds behind his countryman, Luis Leon Sanchez. But Rui Costa, with a good ride, could move himself into the top 5 and closely, perhaps even on the podium. Everything to play for, a lot of riders in contention.
What's happened here? Because we've come back to Bradley Wiggins. It looks as though his chain was off because he had no drive on the pedals, quickly put on by the team. What would you say, Bob? He's lost about 6 seconds?
He lost a few seconds there, 5 to 10 seconds. He was very smart, however, didn't panic, and did not try to put the chain back on himself when he's deep into the effort and perhaps a little bit shaky from breathing so hard with 200 beats per minute in the heart rate. Bradley Wiggins was smart to let the mechanic put the chain back on. He didn't lose a lot of time. He could have lost a lot more.
Now, he loves to ride these elliptical chain wheels. You can just see his elliptical chain wheel there. And I'm just wondering whether that might be the cause of the chain coming off. This is what happened. I think he was trying to change gear, wasn't he?
Changing from the big ring to the small ring. He's reaching down. He's trying to put it back on. He realizes that's not going to happen. It's tangled up a little bit. He's smart there to stop, and the mechanic right out of the car and right on the side. Everybody saw what happened. They knew exactly what to do, and Bradley Wiggins is back on course.
Well, we're talking seconds all day today in this time trial. He's lost 6 or 8 seconds there. Has it cost him any hope of winning this race? He's still got to come to the first time check. We'll be there when he gets there. Well, we're back with Bradley Wiggins here now. Has got to get himself literally back into gear after that slip chain. Let's have a look at that again, Bob. And I just asked the question, what's it done to him mentally now?
Well, it would be easy to panic in a situation like this, but that's the worst possible thing to do. Wiggins realizes at this point that he can't get it back on. The mechanic, realizing immediately what's going on, he hops out of the car, gets Bradley Wiggins back up and going. I mean, that's a bad situation, but they handled it about as well as you can expect.
Well, it's hard to say exactly how much you lose, especially when you slow down and get help. But that was a great job by the Sky Team mechanic there. They got that chain on very quickly. Maybe 10 seconds the loss. Well, it'll be reflected when he gets up to this point. As we see now, Spilak, this is the mid-check now for Spilak. And Wiggins, of course, isn't here yet. And we'll see how his time stands as we go back to the last man on the road, Luis Leon Sanchez, the leader of the race by 9 seconds. I wonder if he knows that Wiggins has lost probably 10 seconds there.
Well, if his team will tell him that Wiggins has had a bit of a problem there. He started the day 9 seconds ahead of Bradley Wiggins. These time trials now in international racing and stage races go down to the seconds.
Yep.
If Bradley Wiggins loses by a couple of seconds, well, he will rue the moment that he missed that shift.
Well, absolutely. You don't deserve bad luck like that when it's a matter of time that counts. We'll go back to Wiggins' teammate, or go forward. The third man from the end on the road is the former world champion, Michael Rogers. Has a very similar position here to Steph Clement. Very upright position.
Uses the round chain rings, very smooth spin for Michael Rogers. The elliptical chain rings designed to enhance the more powerful part of the pedal revolution, and when the thigh comes around to about 1 o'clock in the rotation and you throw over into the big gear, well, having a few extra chain rings is supposed to be an advantage. Michael Rogers not buying into that, using the old school round ones.
We're looking now at Andrew Talansky here, who's climbing up to the time check. Now, if this man, don't forget, he's on a personal battle here with the rider in front of him, Vilko Kelderman. Kelderman, the same time gap of just a few seconds, but they're locked together on the same gap, which is 20 seconds apiece off the race lead. He's got to get at least 1 second out of Kelderman to keep that white jersey, which he won a year ago. He's also aiming for the top. And I'll tell you what, Bob, look at the time of Richie Port, 18 minutes, 14 seconds. Talansky is going to go under this banner with 5 miles to race. Very, very close to being the best time. 1.16 seconds. That'll round down to a single second behind Port, and now the faster run into the finish.
Andrew Talansky absolutely flying in this time trial, the only man to come anywhere near Richie Port so far at the halfway point.
Oh.
He's looking for a podium and perhaps winning the Tour of Romandie. Great riding by Talansky.
If he can maintain that, he can climb onto the podium as well as win the white jersey. He could have a yellow and a white if he keeps that up. We've gone back to Bradley Wiggins here, the British rider who's led this race for 4 days. His Sky team have dominated this race until today, when the yellow jersey was taken onto the shoulders of the Rabobank rider Sanchez. They're still to come to those same time checks. Andrew Talansky, though, has nailed his colours firmly to the mast. This boy is living up to his newfound reputation. He's a very, very good time trialist.
He loves the suffering. That's what the coin of the realm is in cycling, and he should have plenty of opportunity to enjoy that today.
Luis Leon Sanchez, the lonely man in the yellow jersey. If it's not coming out for him, he'll feel even more lonely now as he plods this final trail, closing down the 66 Tour of Romandie. No time check on him yet. No time check on Michael Rogers, where we are at the moment. But we will get the time checks very shortly at the top of the climb. Then we'll know.
Luis Leon Sanchez, the overnight leader, put in a big effort to win the last 2 stages. That's obvious. He also had to come back a little bit on that final descent of yesterday's stage. We'll see if he didn't put too much out on the roads in the last 2 days to defend the yellow jersey on today's stage. Luis Leon Sanchez, last man to start on course and on the climb. Will get his time check in a little bit.
I know it's difficult to tell, Bob, but it doesn't look to me as though Rogers is going particularly well here. We are on the steepest part of the section heading up to the time check, but he's not very fluent. As we switch quickly back to Bradley Wiggins here, who's riding behind. Wiggins working away, but nagging away in the back of his mind will be the thought, I've lost 10 seconds or so with that slip chain. I've got to make it up. I've got to get faster.
Bradley Wiggins in the time trialing position, holding on to those aero bars on the front of the machine. And on a climb, you have to be going very fast to take advantage of the aero position.
So we switch back now to Andrew Talansky, who's thrown the gauntlet down at that time check, just a second behind Richie Port. Is he going to be the new leader when he gets down to the finish now? He still has a very fast rhythm here. Now, there is a strong wind blowing, but he seems to have mastered it just now as the sun gets high in the sky.
Born in Miami, winters in Napa, lives in Girona, Spain, perhaps America's next superstar bike racer. Andrew Talansky, you have to look very hard, long and far to find where he hasn't finished in the top 10 in the time trial, and he's on great form so far today.
As he goes to the finish, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take him over the line. Well, as we rejoin the time trial action here in the Tour of Romandie, things are really hotting up. We're catching up with the last man on the road now, the leader overnight, Luis Leon Sanchez. And looking at his style here, Bobby, is finding this climb up to Crans-Montana pretty difficult.
Pretty handy against the clock during his career. He can produce a big result in the time trialing when he needs to. Just a couple of years ago in the Tour of Algarve in Portugal, he beat none other than Alberto Contador in the individual time trial. Of course, he's also 3 times national time trial champion of Spain.
But, and we have to put a big but, it wasn't uphill on those occasions. Now, this is certainly uphill, and this is the arrival of Bauke Mollema at the checkpoint at 5 miles in. He's conceded a minute to Richie Porte. Well, that means 59 seconds to Andrew Talansky, and Talansky has wiped out what was only a 2-second deficit on this man. He's gone up the overall today, Andrew Talansky. And the arrival of Rui Costa here. This has been an expelled ride by him. Look at this. This is a fantastic ride by Costa. We weren't expecting this from the Portuguese rider. He comes up. He's only failed by a few seconds, 6, to match the time of Porte. And, you know, a ride like that, and we can't say it because we don't know what the rest are doing to come in. He could be on the podium tonight with that ride.
Well, Rui Costa starting the stage in 9th overall, in the top 10 in the overall standings. Only a few seconds behind Bradley Wiggins and Luis Leon Sanchez, but that might move him up in the overall standings. Great ride by Rui Costa, stage winner in the Tour de France last year.
Absolutely, it's super best. There have been some inspired rides amongst these riders going out of the start house late because they know a matter of seconds can completely turn this overall situation upside down. Talansky has done well over Bauke Mollema. He's climbed over him. He can't possibly lose 59 seconds to him on the run into the finish, which is some downhill and a little bit of climbing. That was Michael Rogers down below us at the moment. Rogers now coming up to the check. This will be interesting.
2010, he was on great form. He won the Tour of California last year, wiped out by mononucleosis. He seems to be back on good form. He started the season off in the top 5 in the Tour Down Under. He's on a reasonable ride here, but not great.
34 seconds down to his teammate Richie Porte, so the former world champion hasn't fired there at all. And remember, too, that, again, that's another scalp for Talansky at the moment because Rogers went out only 4 seconds better than him in the overall. Talansky has climbed over him as well. That young man is destined for the podium right now.
Well, he has moved ahead of 2 riders that are following him on the road. Andrew Talansky firing on all cylinders in the time trial.
Back down to the finishing line now. This is Simon Spilak, who's coming up, a former winner on the disqualification of Alejandro Valverde for drugs in 2010. Now, what's he done this time? He is outside the time, but he's still inside the magical half an hour for the ride. This is a pretty solid performance by Spilak. Is he going to get inside that 30 seconds to the line? He's dropping away slightly now. Pino is in 5th at 29.48. He might well just get inside. No, he won't. He's still got a bit of a run up here. So he'll go outside of the top 5. It's an awful long way to the line when you're at the limit of your speed here, and Spilak hits the line. He is dropping in 8th place and going ahead of the Olympic silver medalist Gustav Larsen. So he slowed a little bit on the running. Now this is the grimace of Bradley Wiggins trying to climb back into the last yellow jersey available. 2nd overall, looking for just 9 seconds to win this race.
Bradley Wiggins, we haven't seen him grimace like this in the whole week of racing so far. Now finally putting everything on the line. He needs to make up 9 seconds on Luis Leon Sanchez, but watch out for Andrew Talansky. We'll see what Wiggins' time is.
Well, this is going to be intriguing to say the least. Now, how does it stack up? And we've gone under the banner, but the time hasn't come out as we'll catch him shortly. We've gone back down the road as we look here now, the climbing and nodding style of the yellow jersey of Luis Leon Sanchez. He will know whether Wiggins is ahead of him or not. At least he'll have an approximation. And he looks to me as though he's really struggling now.
Well, the Tour of Romandie race organizers must have been asleep at the switch when Bradley Wiggins went through the time check. We didn't get that. That might hinder Luis Leon Sanchez. He won't know what progress Bradley Wiggins is making. He'll have to go absolutely flat out. Forget about tactics. Just sprint as hard as he can to the line.
Well, it is exasperating. We wanted to know the split there, of course, of Bradley Wiggins, but it never came on screen at all. So he's gone off into mystery land now as he races down towards the finish. We don't know exactly where he is timed in relationship, particularly to Richie Porte and to Andrew Talansky. We're catching up with Brad Wiggins now. He's got back into his full-on time trial mode. Little bit of respite just for now as he starts to go down before he gradually climbs to the finish.
And hopefully the Swiss timekeeper will have woken up by the time this man, Luis Leon Sanchez, gets to the first and only time check out on the course, 5 miles into the 10. Andrew Talansky looking for 20 seconds of this man, Luis Leon Sanchez, and just 11 seconds to Bradley Wiggins. We'll know at the finish line.
The concentration here, but it's one that really personifies pain, I think, because Luis Leon Sanchez is feeling all of the pressure of being the race leader now. He got it by taking the small time bonuses and winning 2 10-second bonuses with his 2-stage wins, which brought him here in yellow. 9 seconds behind Wiggins, at the ahead of Wiggins rather. So now we're going down the finish. Now let's see what he can do. There is the time of Richie Porte, and this is the first time he's catching the rider in front of him here, so that will be Steph Clement he's bringing back, as we're now seeing Talansky come up towards the line, as Talansky now is challenging the time. Well, this has been an incredible ride by the youngster. He is climbing to a podium finish for sure here in the Tour of Romandie. Richie Porte, 29.13. Talansky is coming in. He's beaten it by 15.8 seconds. Talansky is the first man inside 29 minutes.
Fastest time by Andrew Talansky, leading the event. Nobody had been able to come close to Richie Porte until the finish of that man, Andrew Talansky, nearly catching Vilko Kelderman that started 2 minutes ahead of him.
Look at this. Bradley Wiggins, the time is there now, 17.34. Best time at the top of the hill. Sanchez has conceded almost a minute. He has lost his yellow jersey. Now, is it going to go to Talansky or to Bradley Wiggins? Because they seem to be writing the history books here.
Talansky 15 seconds faster than the leader, Richie Porte. Bradley Wiggins was a little bit faster in the time check, but it's all to play for now between Wiggins and Talansky.
Absolutely. Wiggins is driving on here now to try and take the yellow jersey, but has Talansky done the time that will win the day? The finish after this. Well, the pace has really hotted up all day, and the man who seems to be in the middle of the storm here is the leader of this race, Luis Leon Sanchez, because the battle up front is indicating he's not going to win the race. The question is it going to be Andrew Talansky or Bradley Wiggins?
Michael Rogers now coming into the finishing town of Crans-Montana, out on his time trial. It's been a lonely furrow for Michael Rogers. He's lost a lot of time at the halfway point. Let's see how much he can regain or continue to lose in the final couple of 100 meters.
So Michael Rogers heads towards the finishing line now, as he looks like he's not going to be in the podium. He started the day 3rd place in the race, 16 seconds behind Sanchez. He might be ahead of Luis Leon Sanchez, but there's no doubt that storming performance by the American Andrew Talansky has moved him right up amongst it. Let's rejoin Bradley Wiggins on course. He is absolutely flying now, despite that falter with a slip chain.
55 seconds faster than Luis Leon Sanchez in only 5 miles of racing. And like you said, Phil, when you factor in that little mechanical that he had, Bradley Wiggins is on fire, absolutely crushing the time trial so far.
Now, the next man due in at the finishing line will be Steph Clement, who was starting today 2 seconds better overall than Andrew Talansky. So that'll be an interesting time when he comes down to the line. Those long, gangly legs, though, of Bradley Wiggins, again stamping on those pedals in his favourite discipline, the time trial. He was so happy on the second day of this race when he actually won a sprint in a road race. And now he's looking to go for the time trial. But here we are. And look at that. Talansky now has absolutely slaughtered the champion of the time trial from the Netherlands. Steph Clement now is outside half an hour.
Well, Steph Clement needing a 28.59 to maintain his position ahead of Andrew Talansky. That's well gone.
Absolutely.
Talansky will pass Steph Clement, and we'll see who else he passes the rest of the stage.
So Talansky goes over Steph Clement now, as he now moves up in theory to 5th place overall. It has to be more than that, because there was only a handful of 11 seconds splitting the top 6 riders in this race. It has been an absolutely outstanding performance by Andrew Talansky, the champion of Holland. That's a good scalp to get on your belt. Now, looking back here at Luis Leon Sanchez, those legs look to me to be extremely tired.
Well, when we saw Bradley Wiggins on the same stretch of road It seemed like Wiggins was going quite a few miles an hour faster than Luis Leon Sanchez.
Oh, dear
A little
me.
bit of a trouble there on that corner. There was a little bit of a stream, but he seemed to take more chances than less chances, excuse me, than were called for on that corner.
I really think that morally he is beaten here. Mentally he's gone here. He's not firing like a rider who is winning this race anymore. He's taking too much caution on these bends. He's not taking the corners with a good line at all as he goes down. Now here is Bulk Malema. He also was 2 seconds ahead of Andrew Talansky, so he's got to not concede that on the run into the line. But I can tell you the clock is looking to me as though he is going to be behind as well here. Talansky's gone over Steph Clement up to 5th, and the clock tells us right now that Talansky is now up into 4th place overall in this race, and he's looking now for the finish of Michael Rogers to see if he's going to make the top 3. So Bulk Malema here of the Netherlands is coming home. Another man who's gone sailing outside the half-hour mark and sailing outside of the top 20.
Wow, 1 minute, 24 seconds behind Andrew Talansky. He'll lose that position on the podium. Michael Rogers only 4 seconds faster than Andrew Talansky. Rogers the next man to finish, and we'll see if he can hold off the charge by the American Andrew Talansky.
The only 3 riders have finished now, Rogers, Wiggins and Sanchez. I think really the only one we're interested in is the time of Bradley Wiggins, and here he is now in the narrow streets of the village of Crans-Montana, still riding extremely powerfully here. He does not seem, Bob, to have been affected whatsoever by that slip chain.
Psychologically, that could be a blow, but he's a veteran now, 32 years of age. He just had his birthday and lost the leader's jersey. On that, he'll be wanting to do something against Luis Sanchez to rectify that situation. 1,000
meters from the finishing line. Is his time going to stand up? Because now there's no doubt in my mind that Talansky will finish 2nd in this time trial if this man gets a better time. And that is incredible. But let's go back to the line. Mick Rogers coming down the home straight towards the finish right now. Here he is. And look at his time. Rogers already way outside the time of Talansky. Andrew Talansky is not only going to win the white jersey, he's now in the top 3 overall.
Talansky just moving into a podium position. Rogers needed to conserve 4 seconds to Talansky. He lost 42 seconds. Talansky onto the podium and looking for more.
Well, the Sky team have been absolutely fantastic all week. There's no exception today, but they're falling short of the man from Garmin Barracuda. Talansky is now still the leader. The only rider who can beat him, according to the checks on course, is this man, Bradley Wiggins, and he still looks to me as though he's flying.
Talansky needed 20 seconds on Luis Leon Sanchez. He was just about there at the halfway point, and Luis Leon Sanchez looked to still be struggling quite a bit with his final 5 miles to go. Talansky in the finishing, waiting for the finish of this man.
And watching the time of the clock here, because Wiggins is the man, the only man that can destroy the young 23-year-old American's dream and stop him winning the Tour of Romandie now. No British cyclist has ever won this race, by the way. We've had 2 seconds with Robert Miller, and look at the clock, 28:44, Talansky 57. Wiggins can see this has been an incredible second half on the course for Talansky. It is going to be desperately close. Wiggins has got to ride to that line. Wiggins gets it by 1 second. It will be rounded up to 1 whole second. That just shows you the quality of the rider Talansky, and what a defense by Wiggins, because Wiggins had a huge advantage at the point on the mountain at 5 miles.
Talansky absolutely scorching the last half of the time trial. Took 40 seconds out of Wiggins in the last 5 miles. Wiggins barely hold on for the stage win by less than 1 second over Talansky.
Well, this rider is not going to do anything now, sadly, to affect the overall. The yellow jersey is riding to the finish. Look at this. Wiggins in an oxygen debt here. He had to pull out something very, very special, and he was slowing down from the top of the mountain down to the finish. And indeed, those lost seconds almost proved. Where on earth is Luis Sanchez going now? In and out, he's doing a slalom, which is what they normally do up here in the winter in the skiing events.
Going from bad to worse for Luis Leon Sanchez. He lost almost a minute to Bradley Wiggins, has not been able to find his rhythm. He's had a terrible time trial. Devastation. Wiggins leaving it all out on the open road in the time trial today.
I think he just asked the question, did I do it? Have I done it? And the answer is you have, by a single second on the day to win the time trial. Absolutely superb riding by Wiggins. Chris Boardman finished second in this race back in 97. Robert Miller in the years 90 and 91. We've waited a long time, since 1947, in fact, when the first Tour of Romandie was held, before we've seen a British rider win it.
Talansky so close to glory there. 0.7 of a second behind the best in the business.
Unbelievable.
On his best form, Bradley Wiggins. A great ride by the young American.
And I think, Bob, you know, when you check those second half checks, I think you'll find that Talansky was way out the fastest man from the top of the mountain.
Oh, well, if
way
they
out.
started at the 5 mile point and went to the finish line, he would have won by a big margin. Trailing Wiggins, he was 41 seconds slower than Wiggins in the first half, but then only 1 second slower at the finish line. He gained 40 seconds on Wiggins in the last 5 miles. Incredible ride by Talansky.
Absolutely superb. And the Garmin Barracuda found somebody very, very special there. He'll be riding, of course, in the Amgen Tour of California, but different rules there. He won't be able to go for the white jersey of best young rider, so he's going to have to go for the yellow jersey of overall leader of that race. Well, held Tommy Danielson, of course, his teammate who finished 9th in the Tour de France last year. Well, this is a lonely sight, isn't it? 400 metres from the end, the crowd applauding Luis Leon Sanchez. Yes, he's lost this race now, but he has had a brilliant Tour of Romandie. Back-to-back stage wins. He did something we never thought would happen. He got the yellow jersey off Bradley Wiggins, but the time trial has unfortunately gone the way of Wiggins, at least unfortunate for Luis Leon.
Not absolutely horrible, probably finished within the top 20 of riders, but Wiggins so special in this discipline. Luis Leon Sanchez would have needed a huge advantage to be able to hold off Wiggins and Talansky on today's stage. That's not going to happen. Probably finish in the top 20. Decent result in the time trial for the man, Luis Leon Sanchez. He does have 2 stage wins in the Tour of Romandie, but he's going to plummet a long way down from the leaderboard that he started the stage with.
Well, there was about 30 riders covered by seconds at the start of this day, and this is the result now, a reshuffling at the top. We're going to see Bradley Wiggins the winner. We are also going to see Andrew Talansky as second overall, the young American rider. We did feel all week that Talansky's been going well, Bob. We did talk about it. Bradley Wiggins had to pull out something very, very, very special after the upset of losing maybe 10 seconds when he unshipped his chain. Well, there we are, Luis Leon getting his breath back. He didn't collapse off his bike like Bradley Wiggins did, because Wiggins saw that clock and thought he wasn't going to get to the time set by Andrew Talansky. Well, it's all pressure on you when you are the race leader, and maybe it wasn't a good thing when he took the lead off Wiggins yesterday, because it meant he started last and the pressure and the television was on him and he had to deliver, and he couldn't.
If he had been anything but the race leader and 2 stage wins recently in the Tour of Romandie, it wouldn't have been a bad week of racing, but he did have that advantage of 9 seconds over Bradley Wiggins. I think it would have been a lot more comfortable for Luis Leon Sanchez to start second to last and not have passed Bradley Wiggins. And Bradley Wiggins just absolutely destroyed Luis Leon Sanchez on today's stage.
And there are the results. Bradley Wiggins getting the victory here. Talansky, though, 0.7 of a second slower. That's incredible. They're the top 2 boys. Michael Rogers, the world champion, in 7th place. And the top 10 completed there by Janusz Brakjovic. He was 54.6 seconds down. There were 2 men on the day, Talansky and Bradley Wiggins. Wiggins wins. We'll take a break, the podiums, and an interview with Brad when we come back. Well, we've seen an incredible time trial today here at Crans-Montana, Bob. 2 guys were standouts, and it's completely turned around the overall result. And here is the man, first of all, who wins the time trial today, the British champion, Bradley Wiggins.
He lost his chain, but he did not lose the stage. Andrew Talansky pressed him all the way to the line. Talansky just 0.7 of a second slower to perhaps the best in the business at the time trialing discipline, Mr. Bradley Wiggins from Great Britain.
Yes, a wry smile on his face there. He led this race for 4 days. He lost it on Saturday. He got it back on the most important time. He is our Michelob Ultra ride of the day.
Bradley Wiggins deep into the effort here. Elliptical chain rings, aero bars, aero helmets, skin suit, shoe covers, doing everything. That's nothing if you can't go absolutely flat out and have the talent to do it, but he has never gone quite that hard, I don't think. We've never seen him collapse at the finish of a time trial, but that was what was required, and Bradley Wiggins came through with a big win.
Absolutely well. Bradley Wiggins, our Michelob Ultra ride of the day. you have to say that that slip chain almost cost him the race. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Bradley, congratulations, final victory. It seems you just follow the plan from the first day and it happened.
Yeah, we knew we were capable of doing that coming into this race, but you know, it's just once again, it's just really nice to finish it off on the last day in the time trial. For the boys, you know, all week they've been incredible, you know, and I think you know, it doesn't matter how strong you are as an individual. I think without those boys this week, my teammates, I wouldn't be in this position now. So it's just, I'm just pleased for them that I managed to finish it off. And you know, what a team we've got this week. You know, you're in a great team when you've got the world champion riding for you on the front.
One word about this time trial today, very specific, quite short, but very difficult.
I think it was a true test of a GC rider. You know, it had a bit of everything in it, plus a mechanical for myself, and I was just pleased with the way I handled that, because a few years ago I might have thrown my toys out the pram and chucked the bike down the ravine. So I was just pleased I managed to. It was a good test for obviously the bigger races coming up, but I'm delighted, yeah, really.
So after Paris-Nice, now Tour de Romandie, you are the man of the start of the season.
Yeah, and I think it's payment for the hard work I've put in this winter. You know, I've really grafted it this year, and hopefully there's more to come.
Thanks a lot.
Well said, Bradley Wiggins there. Well, last year, Bob, Cadel Evans won this race. He went on to win the Tour de France. So what now for Bradley Wiggins? He must go into the Tour as a favourite.
Oh, back into the yellow jersey for the Tour of Romandie, heralding himself as not only a serious favourite for the Tour de France, perhaps the top favourite for this summer's Tour de France.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree, even though he faces up to a London Olympic Games straight after the Tour de France ends. So Bradley Wiggins wins this and adds another 2 race wins today, the overall and the stage, to his tally this year. He can't do a thing wrong at the moment. He started by winning in Paris-Nice, and so it continues. He has got some great races on his honours list right now. He was about to leave, but decided not to, because, of course, we've forgotten about one of the stars of the day and one of the up-and-coming stars of the future of American cycling. Well done, Andrew Talansky, 2nd overall.
2nd overall and best young rider in this year's Tour of Romandie. And that's 3rd place. Rui Costa moving on to the podium. Great riding by the Portuguese man on the Spanish Movistar squad.
Yes, he won a super best last year in the Tour de France. He might try and ride alongside Bradley Wiggins this time around. Andrew Talansky, though, he comes from Florida. It's a warm state, of course, at this time of the year. A bit chilly up here at Crans Montana. But this young man also wins the white jersey as the best young rider for a 2nd year. Let's have a look how it all ended here on the 66 Tour de Romandie. Wiggins gets his victory by 12 seconds over Andrew Talansky. Rui Costa, 36 seconds. Richie Porte came up into 4th with that great ride he did today. Former winner Kreuziger is in 6th place. Another former winner in Spielak in 8th place, and the top 10 completed by the man who led at the start of the day, Luis Leon Sanchez. Garmin Barracuda's Irish rider, Daniel Martin, in 14th place. Last year's champion, Cadel Evans, 2 minutes back here in 29th place as well. The green sprinter's jersey, well, there we are. This has gone on to the shoulders of Peter Ignatenko, who got the lead in that yesterday with a breakaway.
Long breakaway for Ignatenko. He got the lead in the sprint competition that's out on the road, where we have the time bonuses sprinkled throughout the stages, and he will win that competition overall.
And he has, and he's won it over Gatis Smoukalis of the Kashuta. 2 teammates there battling out, equal on points, but on countback, Ignatenko wins. Steph Clement also an early leader in this competition. He finishes in 3rd place. Let's have a look then at the pink jersey. This is given to the winner of the King of the Mountain. Same man who got the green jersey, Peter Ignatenko, as he got the double yesterday after that long breakaway. You know, yesterday, Bobby wouldn't give anything to anybody in that breakaway.
Took all the points on that stage and was able to consolidate his points in the King of the Mountains competition. That's a pretty good week of racing for Ignatenko.
It is indeed. 3 points more over Lars Bach, the erstwhile leader. Johann Schopp is in there as well for Switzerland. Levelet was also in that competition too. Now, this is the one. He got it last year. He's got it again this year, but he's also 2nd in the race this time around. Andrew Talansky, at 23 years of age, the best young rider. And I tell you, there's a number of hard ardent professionals in this race today will have noted his name.
And we'll get to see him soon on the roads of California, in the Amgen Tour of California. He's got to be one of the big favorites now to win in California in that upcoming stage race that'll be right here on the NBC Sports Network.
Wilco Kelderman there slipping down to third today. Did a 4-time trial. Pino coming up into second. Now this is the team. They're not all finishing this race. Geraint Thomas dropped out along with the world champion Mark Cavendish. But here we do. Richie Porte and Michael Rogers are up here. And boy, did Sky have a great time trial again. There's Richie Porte, the man in the middle from Tasmania, which is a great sporting state in Australia. All right, well, they are the principal winners of the team race. Let me remind you, you can see them all back in action on Sunday, May the 13th. The Epic Cycle Series continues with the Amgen Tour of California. Last year's winner, Chris Horner, will try to defend his title in America's premier event. It will come to you May 13th on the NBC Sports Network. It has been a super end this year. Don't forget, our full schedule always available on NBCSports.com. Well done to Bradley Wiggins, Bob Roll, me, Phil Liggett, and we'll be joined by Paul Share, and we'll see you in California. Goodbye.